more reports are coming out about how the Portland Trailblazers really want to acquire Raptors star wing OG Anunoby. And following their acquisition of Jeremy Grant, they're going all out to acquire the Raptors star wing. So I'm going to break down what the potential package the Raptors could get back, if I'd like to see this potential deal happen, and my predictions for this NBA draft. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, breaking down a report that came out just a little while ago. I was playing the basketball game, I come back and I see Chris Haynes coming out with the tweet saying the Portland Trailblazers, they are in pursuit of OG Anunoby, forward OG Anunoby, with the number 7th pick in Thursday's draft being in play. Now, clearly, if any deal is going down between the Toronto Raptors and Portland Trailblazers involving OG Anunoby, at minimum, at the lowest of lows, that number 7 pick has to be in the deal. Now, this is something we've heard rumblings about over the past little while. We've seen Damian Lillard post on or like Instagram posts of OG Anunoby potentially being in a Portland Trailblazers jersey. So there's been talk, there's been communication, but obviously, Woj, is this the Woj animation? Woj, Shams, and obviously Chris Haynes. Those are the guys that you can usually trust with these reports. So this coming out close to draft day, it makes sense that the Portland Trailblazers are going to be in pursuit of the guy. Now, there's a big difference between being in pursuit and deals right on the table, right on the corner. Now, as mentioned, there have been rumblings that I thought were blown out of proportion by Jake Fisher or whatever, but even though they were addressed by Bobby Webster recently, but OG potentially wanting a bigger role, seeing guys like Jeremy Grant get paid the big bucks given the fact he went to a lower tier team and then was able to show out, give more of an opportunity. So there is that sort of stuff. I don't think that's going to be a big factor to be in play. By all accounts from the Raptors front office, everything's good with OG Anunoby, even if he does desire a higher role. I think if we do make this trade, it will be because, one, Masai Ujiri really, really likes a player at the number 7 draft pick. He sees a guy that he thinks has star potential that will be a nice, fit that Scotty Barnes timeline, a young player to go pair alongside him, Gary Trent Jr., whoever you really want to go along with. And 2, the role players we get back doesn't affect the current roster. Josh Lumenberg put out a tweet that I thought was put solidly, saying the Raptors are coming off a 48-win season with 2 All-Stars in their primes, budding superstar in Scotty Barnes. They're going to trade OG Anunoby, which is unlikely in his opinion. It's hard to imagine them doing it for something that doesn't make them better in the near future. So yes, I think the only way it happens, the baseline, the prerequisite is that Masai Ujiri sees a future star at that number 7 pick. However, in addition to that, I think the role players we'd have to get back in this deal, because obviously we can't just trade OG Anunoby for nothing. They've already used their trade exception, right? We'd have to be sent players back. They'd have to be players that Masai Ujiri thinks can fit our roster, valuable pieces that will help a middle-of-the-pack playoff team right now take another leap in cahoots with, our budding stars, our younger players taking development steps. So those are the 2 things that I think would need to happen. Now, do I necessarily see a deal just from the Portland Trailblazers side of things that could necessarily happen like that? Personally, no. I don't want to trade OG Anunoby. I'm not too up on this year's draft. Obviously, you guys know, watching Raptors Digest for the past 5 years, we're never that in tune with the Raptors picks, with the exception of last season, given the fact that was the only thing we had to look forward to for 3 months. But, we were the 33rd pick, didn't dive into the role players, but Shaedon Sharpe is a guy that could potentially be a solid acquisition. We keep Adrian Griffin there. His son's in this year's draft, who did have a solid season there at Duke, right? There are some players that have some star promise, but I don't even want to give a take. I don't even want to give a solidified opinion until I get to really research the guys that end up on a Raptors roster following the NBA draft there. But if Masai Ujiri sees a guy, that's that. But in my opinion, the 7th pick, even with the mastermind that Masai Ujiri is, it's tough. It's really tough to guarantee yourself a player at the level of OG Anunoby with the potential of an OG Anunoby at the 7th pick. The memes are going around about it anyways, right? The number 2nd pick could even be OG Anunoby caliber player, right? So we'll see what happens on that. I won't dive too much in there, pretend I know all the ins and outs of the players in the 7th pick, the lower lottery selections, but there are some intriguing players on the Portland roster. Now, A couple of them could get you excited. There's one guy that I wanted us to trade for at this year's deadline, and that is Josh Hart, who, looking at the stat line this year, a lot better than what he's had in seasons prior, right? 15 points per game, always been a tremendous rebounding guard, solid defender, 4 assists per game there, 7 rebounds, 15 points, and this is his total season stats. If you look at just what he was doing for the Portland Trailblazers last year, now obviously an expanded role on a tanking team, yada, 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 in 13 games, 20 points per game. The rebounds went down, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Shot 37% from the three-point line. I know it's a small sample size, but that's an intriguing player right there. Now, are you expecting a bunch of development there from Josh Hart? He's been in the league for 7 years at this point, or 5 years. This will be his 6th season. He's 27 years old, right? He's probably not going to take a massive leap, but he is a very, very solid role-playing guard that I think, you have Gary Trent Jr. are starting to. You have Fred VanVleet, obviously, as your starting point guard. You would be a perfect guy to come in, take some minutes away. Obviously, we just, we re-signed Svima Hailuk. We still have Malachi Flynn scraping for minutes. But we really needed that bench guard to really come in and be solid for us. In the start of the season, it was Delano Banton for a couple weeks, and teams figured out that they can just run a zone on him, and then he gets sort of compromised. But Josh Hart would be a cool pickup there. And so that's one player. Another guy that's potentially packaged, that's been thrown around a little bit, right? Was traded for Norman Powell, actually, from the Portland Trailblazers to the Clippers. But Keon Johnson averaged 7 points per game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, right? Solid stuff. He's a pretty solid defender. Only 20, what is it? Where's the age on here? 20 years old, only 20 years of age, shooting 37%, 36% from the three-point line, or 35% from the three-point line following his trade to the Portland Trailblazers, averaged 10 points per game. Solid slasher, knocks down his free throws. He's a intriguing young prospect there, obviously only at the age of 20 years old. Could be an interesting piece. And then the other guy that has been thrown around in these trade talks, it's Nasir Little, who struggled to start his NBA career, but still only a young player himself. Had a little bit of a jump this season, 10 points per game, 5 rebounds. Not a crazy shooter, 33% from the three-point line, but can get to the rim. He has some size there. All 3 of these guards are 6'5". Josh Hart plays bigger than his height because he gets so many rebounds and is a solid defender, but not the 6'9" guys that we come to expect from a Toronto Raptors rumor, trade exception, all that sort of stuff. So would you be interested in those 3 players coming back? Obviously, they're not moving the needle for me in an OG Anunoby trade. They're not doing it. It's just not going to happen. So that doesn't excite me too much. If you get those players in combination with the 7th pick that you're sure that's going to be at least a star potential, at least something you can get excited about, not one of these scrubs or anything. You've scouted them out properly, as Masai Ujiri always does, right? Then I wouldn't hate it. I don't want it to happen. I don't expect it to happen, but I'd be sold a little bit more. And then if you could this is what would turn the tides a little bit. If you can get a top 3 protected Portland Trailblazers first-round pick, then you're swaying me a little bit. Because even with OG Anunoby there, Damian Lillard's dealing with injuries. OG's dealt with injuries himself. Jeremy Grant's dealt with injuries himself. Even if they have those 3 guys, I think that roster, Anthony Simons is there, will be better constructed. But in a tough Western Conference, that could be a lottery pick next season as well. So if we can get another pick on top of that, then you're swaying me. Am I sold on it? Do I want it to happen? I'm saying no, but if it does happen, I'll be heartbroken in the sense the man, OG Anunoby, OGs himself, would be traded, but I'd have faith in Masai if he happened. I'd trust his judgment. It wouldn't be something where I'm out here flaming Masai Ujiri on a podcast, but I would be disappointed. I would be sad. I would be screaming OGs at the TV initially if this trade went down. But that's the breakdown. That's what's sort of happening there. The Blazers really, really want this guy. It's been known for a while, and Chris Haynes is just reporting it right now. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think about this potential deal in the comment section below. You guys are the best for making this far. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter, all that cool stuff. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.